They were America's heartthrobs, from their humble beginnings as the doo-wop act The Honeybees, and through the few short years when they became one of the greatest headlining acts of the era, and B-Boys fever swept the nation. They broke every live show and Billboard chart record there was, culminating in a still legendary set at the Copa Room and Las Vegas' Sands Hotel, the act that would define the style of a generation. That was a moment that most ordinary stars would consider the top of their achievements. Not this crew. It only proved to be a major turning point in their careers. Unsatisfied with mere popular musical success, each of these fabulous five turned away from the spotlight glare to focus on more personal, artistic, and social endeavors. Brian Caswell may have left the music biz behind that day, but he brought all the rock and soul that made him famous into the field of culinary arts. A lifelong outdoorsman and gourmand, he trained in New York and all over the globe for years.
He's an incredibly outdoorsy guy. Loves to hunt, loves to fish, enjoys life to the fullest in every aspect.
Eventually returning to his native Texas Gulf Coast to become one of Houston's star chefs and restaurateurs.
Brian took it on to be a one-man war to make people recognize that Houston was a fabulous culinary destination.
If I could say one thing about Brian, he really is like the whole package. He's some chefs are really great artistically, some are great technically, some are nice people. Brian's kind of all those things rolled up into one. I don't know of any other one single chef in Houston that really just the whole package like that.
Bob Cavnar, Little Bobby as he was known as part of the three Bobs that fronted the boys, was always the daredevil of the group. And when he turned away from the stage, he not only took on piloting, ranching, and global adventuring, he also became the frontman for several top-of-the-charts energy concerns.
Bob has an essence about him that just inspires confidence. It's an unusual combination of empathy and power. He's a problem solver, he's a turnaround man, and his strength is inspiring a team to work together.
Today, his inimitable style lends flair to pursuits in writing, the arts, and innovative social action.
He's a Renaissance man. He has an insatiable thirst for knowledge, and he's always learning new things. So it weaves its way into the work that he does, even in the nonprofit world.
Then there's the tale of Bob Devlin, the second Bob, who traded in the bright lights of the Vegas Strip for the footlights of Broadway. First appearing in the Neiman Marcus Company 31 years ago, and building up to a leading role in that production right here in Houston today.
He treats everyone equally, not just like a client. He is a real friend. He is a true friend.
There was a time in Deborah and I's life when we were in somewhat of a crisis situation, and Bob was somebody we went to and could talk openly about some of the struggles that we were going through, and he listened like just a good friend would.
But all during that time, he never once turned his back on his adoring public. When we come back, how the rest of the famous B-Boys turned their talents to both parks and recreation and mergers and acquisitions. Next on Behind the Music. Barry Mandel may have been the B-Boy described most often as the quiet one, but that hasn't stopped him from being heard around the world since his days with the band. A fourth-generation Houstonian, Barry returned home to put the spotlight on his hometown downtown, volunteering his time to a chorus line of civic organizations and most recently heading up his favorite venue, Discovery Green.
I think what drives him is the desire to do something right for humankind. Particularly here in Houston, you can see that the history of the work that he has done is in no means anything about Barry. It's always about trying to do good for others, be helpful to others, and this Discovery Green project that he's leading fulfills his desire to be around kids and happy people every day.
Bobby Tudor, on the other hand, parlayed his experience gained by helping manage the band behind the scenes into a gold record career managing IPOs, equity and debt offerings, mergers and acquisitions, and major financial institutions. Always known as the money man, he also always kept his hand in the show, using his experience to guide arts, learning, and major charitable groups to new heights.
What's Bobby done on the community support level? It probably would be quicker to ask what he hasn't done on the community support level. He's done a lot. He's done it all.
Their talent, their drive, their sense of style, and their pitch-perfect timing. All of these things rocketed them to the top. And still, they have always found time and energy to give back to the communities that supported them along the way.
Their day jobs are very full, and yet they find the time to volunteer or consult for a board.
And while we may never again hear their dulcet croons on the 45 again, we can be sure that their talent and their heart will never let them stop achieving and giving. And that has made the whole world sound sweeter.